Hello guys, welcome back to my lessons. Today we're going to do reproduction in vertebrates. This is a simple topic. It's very short. It doesn't count a lot in the exam. However, you need it for you to get a level 7. So you just need to know the terminologies that I'm going to talk about, understand them, and then from there you're good. So reproduction in vertebrates, we're going to talk about strategies that different animals use to maximize reproductive success in different environments. Now, the first strategy is external fertilization. So the sperm fertilizes the egg outside the body of the female, usually in water. Water prevents the egg from drying out and it allows the sperm to swim towards the egg. So normally this happens in frogs, as you can see. That is external fertilization. In the fish, we have external fertilization in fish as well. So that's how it looks like. The sperm fertilizes the egg outside the body of the female. That is external fertilization. Internal fertilization, the man deposits the sperm inside the reproductive organ of the female, and fertilization occurs inside the female's reproductive organs. So it allows animals to reproduce in a dry environment without the need for water. Internal fertilization is more certain than external fertilization. So if they ask you in the question paper the type of fertilization, once you see that, know that you're going to choose from the two fertilization, external and internal. You only have two. Don't be confused. So we have oviparity, which is a strategy. Eggs are laid and hatching takes place outside the mother's body. So it's like in chickens egg lay the egg. They lay the egg and they hatch. The eggs hatch. Hatching takes place outside the mother's body, right? The egg provides nutrition to the development of an embryo and protects an embryo, and the shell frees these animals from the need to reproduce in water. So we'll talk about the egg they're talking about in oviparity, which is amniotic egg. That's where the embryo develops and hatches. So we have also viviparity, and viviparity is when the young develop inside the uterus of the mother after the eggs are fertilized internally. So viviparity, it's like in humans, that's what happens. The young develop inside the uterus of the mother after the eggs are fertilized internally in the fallopian tube. So a more efficient development of the embryo, as nutrients are received for a longer period from mother's blood through the placenta. Embryo is protected in the body of the mother. So if they ask you the fertilization that takes place in vivipary, so remember I said when they ask you about fertilization, you're going to choose from external fertilization and internal fertilization. Now, if they ask you the type of fertilization that happens in the strategy vivipary, that is internal fertilization, because an egg is fertilized inside the fallopian tube, inside the body of the female. So ovovivipary, young develop from the eggs that are fertilized internally, and they're retained within the mother's body after fertilization until they hatch. So the embryo obtain their nutrients from the egg yolk, and the eggs are protected from the predators until hatching occurs. So this is how it looks like ovovivipary. And what happens is internal fertilization takes place. Eggs are produced, but they are not laid. The eggs hatch, but the young ones remain in the body of the female till they mature enough for the outside environment. So if they ask you the type of fertilization that takes place in ovovivipary, that is internal fertilization. In vivipary, internal fertilization. In ovipary, where eggs are laid in, like in chickens, what happens is internal fertilization as well. So let's look at amniotic egg. The amniotic egg, the embryo is protected by the shell of the egg, and it consists of many extra embryonic membranes that serve different functions. The advantage of this egg is that the amniotic egg protects the embryo from dehydration. The yolk sac provides nutrition, allantois for excretion, chorion for gas exchange. So let's look at the amniotic egg. They have given you the functions, the function of the yolk, the function of allantois, and the function of the chorion. So you might be given a structure of amniotic egg or amniote egg, and they might ask you to label it and give functions. So those are the functions, the important functions for the amniotic egg. So now let's look at another strategy. We're looking at precocial development. Hatchings are quite well developed, and when they hatch, the eyes are open, able to move, able to feed. Brain size and intelligence remains the same throughout their lives. So in altricial development, hatchings are poorly developed. When they hatch, unable to feed on their own, they cannot move. The brain size and intelligence increases after the hatching, right? So if they ask you the type of development, so then you're going to choose from precocial development and altricial development. Most of the time, they use the word strategy for ovipary, vivipary, and ovovivipary. If they ask you the type of a strategy whereby eggs are laid and hatching takes place outside the mother's body, that is ovipary. If they ask you the strategy, if you see the word strategy, most of the time you're going to choose from ovipary, vivipary, ovovivipary. Now, if they ask you about an egg, we learned about one egg in this topic, that is amniote egg or amniotic egg. If they ask you about fertilization, we talked about two of them, external fertilization and internal fertilization. So if they ask you about development, it's precocial and altricial. So lastly, let's talk about parental care. This one is offered through building nests, protecting the eggs, protecting the young, teaching, and also teaching the young. So this just means taking care of the offsprings when the parent or the mother takes care of their offsprings. This increases chances of survival. So if they ask you the advantages of all these things that we talked about, if they ask you the advantage of ovipary, so you're going to say that eggs provides nutrition for the developing embryo and protects the embryo. The shelled egg frees the animals from the need to reproduce in water. If they ask you the advantage of the altricial development, parental care afforded to protect the young from predators. Precocial hatchings are more prepared to handle the challenges of the environment, more independent. So that's what you're going to write. So let's go back to precocial and altricial. In altricial, if they ask you what type of development is this one, they'll give you a picture of animals, like in this one, in this diagram. On my right hand side, there will be like, is this an altricial or precocial development? So you look at if the offspring is developed. You look at you check if the eyes are open, and then you check if they are active or they're able to move. If they are not able to move, the eyes are closed, they are less developed, that is altricial development. If they're able to move, the eyes are opened, then that is precocial development. Thank you so much for listening. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel. I'd really appreciate it. Thank you.